So I'm Timo Halland here. I'm the head of unit here in the European Innovation Council Task Force, and I'm responsible for the Pathfinder open calls and projects. And I would like to welcome you to the presentation on the call, which is closing next autumn, the 14th of October 2020, concerning the FET Innovation Launchpad. I will explain you the main objectives and the features of this call for proposal and who should apply and why. So over the years, as Viorel was already a little bit explaining in his presentation, we have done some studies and we have seen what's happening in the projects that we fund, and there have been thousands of projects with remarkable discoveries. It's really evidenced with all possible indicators, such as the numbers of journals and patents, and usually things are going very well. But when we really look how these research results are turning into successful products and services, we can see that there is some room for improvement. It's giving us an impression that there are some missed opportunities which we try to develop new instruments and new tools how to make sure that these projects are really turning into genuine societal or economic innovations. It's a little bit like if you think about Columbus. He wanted to sail to India, but somehow on his way there was something else that he found. He found the Caribbean islands, or the West Indies as they are called. And this is of course a great discovery on its own, but if you really wanted to, and he really wanted to go to India and sail to India, then the question comes, what shall you do with these islands that you suddenly discover? And indeed, it is sometimes useful to look at also results which are unexpected like this, and perhaps it leads into something great, like discovering the Americas. And you know, something similar can easily happen in a research project. You want to go to India, but you find the Americas instead. And still, India is an interesting trade destination. So we need to be, as Viorel was also in his presentation saying, you need to be prepared and ready for unexpected discoveries. Or maybe at the end of your research project, you have validated your research results. But the business case is not so obvious. Maybe you are in a little bit uncertain, hazy, unfocused, or not convincing with your business plan. And it is these kind of unexpected situations where the research result is not yet fully ready for the market for further investments that we have introduced this call. So the FET Innovation Launchpad. It is to turn results of FET-funded research projects into genuine innovations. And for this, in this call, there is a maximum 100,000 euro available to fund whatever next steps you need to take in order to move towards the markets and increase the maturity of your technology. In fact, in your project, we are expecting you to move out from the lab and do whatever is needed to get closer to the markets. We could fund a prototype or demonstrator, as long as it's clear and necessary for the role of the broader proposed innovation strategy and planning. But it's important to realize that these are not really research projects. We are not really interested in funding research and development, and indeed with 100,000 euro, you can't expect to do major research project anyway. So what should you do then in these projects? What are we funding? Here are some ideas of what the project could be about. But please, this is not an exhaustive list, and this is not a list that we are requesting you to do. You should do what is the most necessary action in your particular case. So what we could fund a definition of a commercialization process. How and where am I going to sell the first products and services? Analyze the markets and competitiveness of your product idea or technological breakthrough. Assess, have it really assessed by experts. Is this really covering all the necessary aspects. Verify the innovation potential. You might want to look at also the intellectual property rights and their protection. Develop patenting plan. Or basically just write that a brilliant business case that it will be appealing to the venture capital. However, it is very important that you check that you are eligible to apply in this call. We have some very precise boundary conditions. First of all, the results that are being taken to the markets should be coming from an ongoing or recently finished future and emerging technology research and innovation project that has been funded either in the Horizon 2020 or in the previous framework program FP7. This link must be clearly stated in the proposal. And as I said, with recently funded, we mean that the project has to have its end date after the 14th of October 2019, so 1 year before the closure of this call. Very clear that you are allowed to exploit the results of this linked project. But you don't have to be a previous participant into this project. It's enough that you have either negotiated with the beneficiaries or ordinator some rights to use it. You need to provide the proof in your proposal that you have these access rights. Of course, we don't want to fund a business case development if it turns out at the end that this startup doesn't actually own the results and don't even have the rights to bring them to the market. So this allows, for example, cases where somebody wants to create a spin-off company from the university and use this 100,000 euro to boost it up, or to take a sabbatical leave. Even an individual person could be eligible for this funding. Or if you're an entrepreneur and you know about an interesting results that was funded in the FET program, and you have, for example, contacts to discuss to them and see if you could be helping them to bring this market product or technology to the market. We have tried to make it very simple, easy program. And something new in this particular call is a lump sum approach. We have simplified the financial reporting with this scheme. It means that in your proposal, you will provide the details of all your planned activities divided between work packages and partners. So to speak, you will give a price tag of each work package and activity. And if you're successful and your proposal gets funded, we will check and agree that your price taggings are right. And once your project is running and when the final payment comes, we will release it accordingly, based on the completion of those actions. So we are not going to ask you to make a detailed timesheet planning like it's the usual practice in other EU research projects. So no real calculation of invoices or any of that kind, just based on your achievements of your work. Few things that you need to pay attention to. So this is a 2020 cutoff is a lump sum, so make sure that there are some additional annexes that you need to fill in as part of your proposal. So these are pricing categories for the actions that you're going to do, your work packages. Your project must not be longer than 18 months, and the funding that we can grant is not more than 100,000 euro. But this is the EU funding. Of course, if you have other funders or if you are ready to chip in your own, the total cost of the project could be more than that. The proposal is supposed to be very short. No more than 7 pages for the sections 1 to 3. So this is the sections where we're actually describing your projects, and there is no need to waste any of those 7 pages with the cover page. When preparing your proposal, try to keep it simple. Don't make a complex work plan. Don't make too many deliverables. Don't add too many milestones. This is supposed to be a very easy project focused on concrete actions and not on reporting. Don't devote the most of the project to a prototype development. And as I said earlier, no research. don't be unrealistic. Keep in mind that this is just 100,000 euro. If you need to do much more, and usually getting into the market requires some substantial additional investments, then consider this as the first later follow-up project. Use this money to make a good planning for bigger investments that will follow. And as I said earlier, this is not a continuation really for the R&D work. This is not a place to really just sell your technology. Think about it as a commercialization project. So far, the scheme has had several funding rounds, and the biggest one is closing in the October. So you have quite a lot of time available to make an excellent proposal. And it's interesting to note that the call in October is going to be the largest one. We have 3 million euro available, and since each project is going to be maximum 100,000 euro, we estimate that there will be some 30 projects funded. The success rates are usually very good, but that is linked to the fact that we are requiring projects to have a link with the funded previous FET project. But in the previous calls, we have funded 20–30% of the eligible applicants. So that was my presentation concerning the FET Innovation Launchpad. Just a quick reminder about the Pathfinder open call, or else just in the previous presentation as well. The last call is closing in 3rd of June, so we have extended that due to the difficult working situation in Europe at the moment. Of course, it's coming very close, and that's why we are not spending too much time in describing it, because it's a bit late to start developing a full-fledged proposal if this is the first time you hear about it. But just a quick reminder, so this is a collaborative research project scheme where minimum 3 partners from EU and associated countries come together to a genuine, ambitious research project that will develop radically new future technologies. It should be a high-risk, high-impact, interdisciplinary project, which is based on a radical vision of a new technology. There should be an idea that will change the world somehow. So this should be not a place where we fund the most obvious next step. If there is a roadmap developed by industry association already, then this is not the radical vision that we are looking here. In the project, there should be a plan to make a breakthrough towards a technological target. So if your project is successful, it will provide a proof of a concept of this technology, that it will work in laboratory at least. And it should be clear from the outset that this is your target of your project. So this is not a place for blue sky research, no curiosity-driven projects where you are just exploring a phenomenon and you will want to see what that leads to. So you need to be much more targeted. And often this kind of ambitious research takes place if you are combining different research and scientific fields together. Interdisciplinarity is a proven way of making discoveries in today's world. And with this, we are also not interested in having, let's say, low-risk incremental research projects being funded. And here, the funding is indicative, 3 million euro. So with that, you can already have a serious research project running with few partners with quite active participation. So keep this call in mind if you are already going into this direction. And this is also our last call under the Horizon 2020. We will continue with the work in 2021 for sure with the Horizon Europe. So this is last possibility under Horizon 2020 in this year, but it will continue in the future for sure. So thank you very much for your attention. This brings me to the end of my presentation. There will be later on a question and answer session, so hold on to that. I will stay, and you will have a chance to put questions to me. And with this, I will pass the floor to the next